Hi, I'm Khleif. Each and every week, I record an interview with a thought leader that I know you're going to get a ton of value from. Now, here on YouTube are the video versions of my podcast, Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. Now, to make sure you get the latest information, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's get started. Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Khleif, and I'm thrilled you're here. And I've got a real treat today. My friend Dustin Miles is on the show. Now, if you don't know Dustin, Dustin's been involved in over 1,500 doors. Hails from Texas, and I think looking at his resume here, that's where all the assets are as well. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's have some fun. I know I got to meet you at our mutual friend Kenny Wolf's and Ferris Musa's event in Houston, and we had dinner together, and here we are. So we're gonna have some fun today, and we're gonna dig in to how you achieved the incredible success that you enjoy right now, and see what we can do to inspire some of my listeners. So maybe we could start with having you talk about how you got rolling in this business, what your background is, and how you developed your love of real estate.
Okay. Yeah, great. Appreciate it. So I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. Grew up just normal middle class background, nothing special. And so I grew up. I was always pretty entrepreneurial. I had candy business when I was a little kid. When I was in elementary school, the bus driver called me the candy man. It's kind of fun. And then had different business, selling baseball cards, mowed lawns, you name it. In college, kind of similar story, had internet business and got all that going. And then out of college, started doing rentals and flips and just with kind of an eye on going bigger. When I was a little kid, I used to ride my bike around and I'd look at all this real estate and, kind of wonder who owns that. And I played soccer my whole life, and I was playing soccer with a kid, and his parents owned some of that large real estate. They owned skyscrapers in downtown Fort Worth. And so I always kind of had the idea of why not me? And so, I kind of got, started networking a bunch. I think you've talked about this. I think Tony Robbins, there's a lot of power in proximity, right?
Sure.
So trying to get around some of these people and trying to find some of the people that were doing this stuff. And I've been a friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, Kenny Wolf. We've known him for about 10 years or so. And he was doing a deal. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And, really once I saw him do that deal and I was part of the deal, once I saw, I was like, okay, I can do this. I got this. And so
you went in as an LP then?
I was a KP on the deal too, but yes.
Oh, you were a KP as well. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So he brought you in as a key principal and that was your first deal with Kenny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Yeah. It was fun.
We're doing a deal with Kenny right now, screaming deal in Louisiana, actually. The previous seller, bought it for $21 million and we're paying 16 and change. So a very exciting deal.
Wow.
It's 30% empty because the guy ran out of money and it's pretty rough. The property isn't rough, but we've got to clean up the demographic it's Kenny's done these in his sleep and he's going to boots on the ground. In fact, I was supposed to be there today, flying there today. But I'm going to Europe in a couple of days and I just had to cancel and Kenny was fine with it. But, by the way, we're still raising money for that, guys. If you're accredited, text partner to 41411. Once we get that thing stabilized at 95% occupancy, we've increased the value $5 million. So, it's a screaming deal. So if you're accredited, text partner to 41411 and I'll be gone, but get on Robert's calendar and chat about it because that one will subscribe very, very quickly. So you did your first deal with Kenny. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, tell me about your first deal on your own. Was there any fear associated with that? And you're a serial entrepreneur like I am. We're kindred spirits in that regard. But was there any fear?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was scared out of my mind, and that's part of it. you push through and you make sure you have your team together so I mean, but at the end of the day, you push through. But I mean, we were I was raising, first deal was 1.6 million or so, and I was very nervous, and
That's a big raise on your first deal.
Yeah, and I was very nervous to accept investor funds because that's a huge responsibility. We had friends and family in the deal. So yeah, absolutely. I was very nervous about it and, double, triple and quadruple checked, everything. And
sure.
So, but yeah, it ended up, that deal is on the market now to sell. So we're excited about it. So
awesome. Yeah. So, you started in single family, then you met Kenny, you did a deal with Kenny because, you got a comfort level. And that's how, guys, those of you listening, I mean, that's a great way to start this business, is to passively invest in a deal with an operator you trust. It goes on your resume and you get the kind of the behind the scenes, knowledge on it. And, like I spend a lot of time actually in webinars training our investors. I go even deeper than most operators, but it doesn't matter if you do it with me, but you should do it because if you can, obviously if you have the money to do it, but it's just a great way to kind of put one foot into this business and see. And what it does is it takes away a lot of the mystery. And I think that's the biggest fear is the fear of the unknown in this regard. And it takes that away. Would you agree with me, Dustin? Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. So I was passive in 2 deals with Kenny before jumping into my own deals. So yeah, it was a nice kind of, get your training wheels going and kind of just see how it works. And then, I started getting distribution checks. I'm like, hey, I this is real. When you start getting checks, then it's real. So
right.
But anyways, yeah, so it's super exciting. And I think that's a great way to go.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, that's awesome. So, and then, you saw the opportunity. Talk about how you started building your investor list. Talk about some strategies there to find equity partners. How did you go about that?
Yeah, it was, we had friends and family, and then I just, networked a whole lot, went to different events, and, really, if you can speak well, I'm not an extrovert. I'm not a public speaker by any means. I've been going to Toastmasters for 5 years to build up to where I am now. But, so I'm certainly, I can talk to people and all that. And I'm, as far as an engineer, I'm probably on, I can speak better than others, but yeah, just, kind of have your story down, have, what you're looking for. If you're able to say, hey, I'm going to buy, a B or C class deal, 100 units or more, and we're looking for, X household income in the area and things like that. And you're able to be, specific about what you're zoning in on. People, there's a lot of credibility to be had, oh, wow, this guy's done his homework and I'm interested in looking at his next deal.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. We actually, my coaching students, we get them kind of primered for this. So one of the things we have them do is prepare a presentation on whatever their submarket is, research the high points of their market so they can speak to population growth, they can speak to income, they can speak to median household, like you just said, and they can talk about maybe the top 10, selling points for that marketplace to start that process. And then obviously, they need to be able to speak to the mechanics of a deal and the returns and all that. But yeah, that's awesome. So was there an aha moment for you? I mean, was there like a pivot point, a tipping point when you realized, boom, I've got this?
I would say, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know if it's an aha moment, but there was a lot of it was huge confidence builder. Obviously, when we closed our first deal, I was sweating bullets.
Right.
And I still have a W-2 job, but I had a W-2
Wait a minute. You still now have a W-2 job?
Yeah. I work part-time.
1,500 doors. Guys, I hope that, and you've got kids? And you're
Yeah.
married, yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, there are no freaking excuses. I was on the coaching call with my students last night, and some of them were lamenting, I have no time. And because I have a W-2 job and I have a family and kids. Boom. There you go. Dustin, thank you. Because they need to hear that, because it is absolutely doable. So,
so I moved from full-time to part-time about a year ago. So I work 2 days a week now. So that obviously that helps now. But
Sure.
But when I first deal, I was working full-time, and I was actually on a business trip, trying to close the deal from LA. So it was a lot of challenges there. But yeah, I don't know if it was necessarily an aha moment, but that was a huge confidence builder. And then I would say being passive, in the first deal with Kenny was a big first step for me. Just seeing how everything kind of, was put together. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We closed. Sure. It's exciting. And so that was a huge confidence builder as well.
Sure. Well, listen, I mean, you said you went part-time a year ago. I'm looking at your resume here, and they're out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 properties. Only 2 were in 18. So you got 10 while you were full-time. Again, I just want to throw that out there because I'm sure someone was hanging the hat on the fact that you were part-time now. So again, I want to hammer that home. There are no excuses, guys. Excuses are like armpits. We all have them, and many times they smell. So no excuses. Anyway, so tell me, I know you're an engineer by trade, right? So you're very analytical. Yep. So what you've done, and I hope you guys heard that, Toastmasters for 5 years. Now most of the time I will tell you to shore up and strengthen your what you're strong at, work on your strengths, and either hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses. But you went ahead and just built your weaknesses, which was the speaking bit, and good for you. And you absolutely can do that as well. A lot of introverted people, myself included, I was terrified of speaking, terrified. But and you just got to push through it, right? And you realize nobody would reject you if they know who you are, right? If they do, it's their BS. It has nothing to do with you, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So, what advice would you give my listeners that are wanting to think about doing this business? They know they want more. They want to get out of the rat race like you're doing. What advice would you give them to get going and take action?
I mean, the biggest thing I would say is, you do need some education for sure. But, then there's analysis paralysis. You have to be aware of that, but you do need some education for sure. Taking action is probably, is as big, potentially, bigger than that. And I think there's a lot of power in proximity, honestly, just being you get around guys, when Kenny was doing his first deal, and honestly, at the beginning we weren't, super close or anything, but started getting around him more and more. And then I started getting around other people out in apartments. And, if nothing else, by osmosis or whatever, you start to believe you can do it. And then you start to think that same way, and you go out and do it. So, there's, I go to, different events. I've been to your event. I'm signed up for your Denver event.
Oh, are you really? Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. I didn't know that. Well, that's awesome, brother.
Yeah. There's a lot of, great people that are going to be there. And, it's power and proximity and, chatting with people and building relationships. And, man, that's where it's at.
No, that's guys. I hope you took note, because that really is such a big piece of this. There is definitely power in proximity. In fact, that's the byline of my multifamily boardroom mastermind. Proximity is power, because it truly is. Who you hang out with is who you become. And so. Here's another example of numerous examples of that dynamic. And so, I go to those real estate investor club meetups. There will be people there that matter. I know there are a lot of people there that'll never take action, but there's a lot of money there too. Okay. There's a lot of potential investors there. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. That's where I've built up my database.
Well, there you go. There you go. Again, case in point. So tell us, it's not all sunshine and roses. Talk about a seminar. I don't call them failures or setback. They're seminars. They're always learning experiences. Talk about a time you got your butt kicked. Let's talk about something fun or a funny story.
Yeah. Well, I guess I've a few stories because you're dealing with multifamily, so there's a lot of moving parts. There's lots of units and lots of things can happen. So, well, I guess I'll start with one that initially was a setback, but is going to be turned out to be a good thing. We had bought a deal. It was off market. It was a CMBS loan. We assumed the loan. It is my first CMBS assumption, and honestly, it might be my last. But anyways,
let me stop you for 1 second. Just because we never talk about those on this show, it's commercial mortgage-backed security is what CMBS stands for, guys. And these are loans that they're typically larger loans, and a lot of times, and they're different than your typical Fannie Freddie stuff that you see most of the operators utilizing. So anyway, please continue. I just wanted to let my listeners know what you meant.
Yeah. So typically a deal takes 60 to 90 days to close. Well, this one took 8 to 9 months.
Right.
And we had a lot of setbacks. The lender, we had a certain amount of money set aside for CapEx, and we had a very healthy CapEx budget, but they wanted us to replace all the windows. They wanted us to, replace all the breaker boxes. They wanted us to replace, all the water heaters, just all these things that,
wow.
It's
big money.
Yeah. It's a 1974 building. It is what it is.
Right.
But they hired
money. The things you just described are very expensive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So they'd hired some engineers, and not to pick out in Southern California, but, there was some engineers from Orange County flew to Waco, Texas. And this, this Waco product, it's a C-class property. And so we had lots of challenges there. And then they wanted our replacement reserves to go from, I think it was from $300 a door to almost $700 a door.
Okay, let me stop you there as well. So What he's talking about there, guys, is these larger lenders are going to want you to put money in an escrow account or in a reserve account for upcoming capital expenditures like roofs, like parking lots, chillers, if you've got chillers, HVAC units, hot water heater, any big stuff, you're going to pay a reserve. And typically, you don't see more than $200 or $300 per unit, typically. Right. And so 700, holy cow! I'm surprised the deal still worked.
Well, so we basically so they wanted us to do. We had a CapEx budget, and a lot of it was interior, renovations and things like that.
Sure.
Well, they wanted an additional $350K of repairs between the windows and all the other stuff, and then the reserves. And so basically we went back to the seller and say, hey, this is what they're wanting. Well, this is it's your problem now, buddy. So anyways, we went back and forth. And so, and they went back and forth with the lender. We got to work out, and our reserves went from 700 to 350, which is still on the high side.
It's still high, but
doable. Yeah. And got our lender repairs down. And so anyways, it worked out well, but I was having to negotiate. You were talking about Europe. I was having to negotiate that while we were in Munich. Oh, and so, I'm on the phone with the lender, and at the time, it was funny. We were in Munich, and something had happened, and they shut down all the subways and everything. And so here I am, I'm with my wife and with my 4-year-old son, and it's raining and all that. And so I just threw him on my shoulders and trekked back to the apartment, and then got on the phone with the lender and got some of the stuff sorted out. But ended up, we bought it at a 9 cap, which is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And this is 2 years ago. So it's, awesome deal.
Yeah.
And we're going to sell it in another few weeks, but Another kind of piece to that story is when we got into the deal, we had some, typically, as you do and get into some of the properties, there's, typically there's few people that probably shouldn't be there. And unfortunately, and so, we ended up having to evict a few folks, and they're one of the tenants or former tenants was not happy about that, and was, lots of shouting matches with the manager and all that. And we came back the next day and our office was burned down. And magically, right?
You can't make this stuff up. I actually show a picture in my live event of it's got the caption it's like a former tenant, and the caption is, "Luckily we got our stuff out in time." And the look on this little girl's face with the house burning behind her.
Oh wow, yeah. So, we were going to remodel the office anyways, so I'm just glad that it happened before. So we didn't waste a whole lot of money. So, but our office looks fantastic, and we were, because he
paid for most of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were able to. It was a 1970s looking office, very closed in and all that. We opened up all the walls and raised the roof some because the roof had been burned. So, ended up turning out really well. But obviously a little frustrating during the process. But I was just glad it didn't happen before we made the repairs.
Thank God nobody got hurt.
Absolutely.
I've had probably half dozen fires over the years, some totals,
wow. Jeez.
Kitchen fires in houses and, apartments and that's the common cause but it is what it is. But occasionally you get a disgruntled, that's why we put cameras in all of our properties, for that eventuality. But so let me ask you this question, Dustin. Why do you, because you've been around a while now, what do you think is the most common reason people fail in this business or fail with a project? What are some things you've heard or seen?
I guess I would say, not being, just in general business terms, not being capitalized properly.
Right. Not raising enough money or having enough money to.
For CapEx and things like that. Those are the issues we've seen. I've seen where there's, in the past, I've seen a few operators that, frankly, they just, they're just wearing too many different hats. There was a guy that had a GC company. He was syndicating apartment deals. He was the management company. He was also doing single family flips. I mean, he just had too many things going on, and probably a little bit of a lack of focus there. So
focus is power. I've fallen into that trap myself.
Oh yeah, me too.
Everything suffers. So, okay, no question. And as it relates to the undercapitalization, especially in where we are in the market cycle right now, you've got to have operating reserves. You've got to, raise enough money for a rainy day. Like we do 6 months operating reserves minimum. And in fact, on that Louisiana deal, we're doing $1 million operating reserve. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's how conservative we are on that one. Just, to make sure that thing turns around. On the Dallas deal we just closed last week, we've got $500,000,
Oh, wow.
And that deal was 65% loan to value, still great returns. There's a lot of operators out there right now that are doing marginal deals. And we were watching a webinar and asked how they stress tested, and it was just like crickets. They didn't, this deal didn't need to be stress test. I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind?
Wow.
What we'll do is we'll look at it, will it sustain 25% vacancy day one? And then we look 5 years and it's got to sustain 35% vacancy. Otherwise,
right.
We go back to the drawing board. But what do you think? Do you think there's any specific characteristics that someone needs to have to do this business? And I know I'm throwing these questions at you weren't ready for, but you're doing a great job. Any specific characteristics that you think a person needs to do this business?
I think that I've seen a lot of people do very well, and I think it's really just being persistent, continuing to educate yourself. Don't keep your ego in check. Once you get a few units under your belt, and you kind of think everything, or you could. But continue to keep your ego in check. Continue to educate yourself, because the market's always evolving. It's never the same, and in every submarket and in every metro is in a different position. We own some assets in Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City is a very, very different market from DFW. Right. They just more reliance on oil and gas up there. So you've really got to be in tune with the market, continue to educate yourself, continue to ask questions. You're never going to know everything. But I think just being persistent and confidence and it's all about working hard. So
those are great tips. And as far as the confidence, sometimes you have to fake it till you make it, guys. Yep. But there's the biggest thing that's going to build your confidence is competence. So you've got to educate yourself. Like, I mean, Dustin, I can't believe you're coming to my Denver event, with 1,500 doors. And guys, there's proof positive of what he's talking about. Learning is earning. You continue that educational process. I learn every time I get on stage. I learn, as much or more than the people in the audience. And it's a continual process. I love your point about ego as well. That actually kicked my butt in 2006. My net worth went up 17 million bucks, and I thought I was a real estate god. And when that happens, God or the universe or whatever you believe in gives you a smackdown. And that was 2008 for me. Right. So, that was painful to hear you say the truth of what happened to me. Yeah. So, but that's the truth of it. And persistence for sure. You just can't give up. Bottom line. Awesome. So do you have a team, or is this a team of one? Now, I assume you use third-party property managers. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Third-party management. And I have some friends that have their own management company, and some friends that use third-party management. That's a piece that, if all of my units were in one place, and, then maybe it would make sense to go ahead and go down that route. But I've talked to some friends of mine, and it just, to me, that's not as attractive to bring in that piece. But, I can see the pros and cons of both.
Kenny just bought a management company.
Yeah. Well, and that's the way to go. Yeah. Go buy one.
But I think once we close on this Louisiana deal, I think he's going to be bumping up against 3,500, 4,000 doors.
And awesome.
That sort of scale, then it may make sense to bring it in-house. And he did it the right way, in my opinion, rather than starting from scratch, just buying existing.
Oh, absolutely.
Improve.
Very smart on his part, for sure.
Yeah. So if you were to go back, because you started a little bit late in life. I mean, you started buying in 2009. Perfect timing, by the way. 2000.
Oh, I know.
That was single family. But you did your first multifamily in 12, yes?
Yeah, that was with Kenny. Yep.
Yeah. And so if you were to go back and tell your 20-year-old self something, knowing what you know now about this exciting business, what might you do differently?
Oh gosh, I'd say, I forgot what the tree analogy is, but the best time was today or 20 years ago. Right. So, but really I'd just say, just get started. There's a lot of people that tell, whenever I go network, they're like, oh gosh, I wish I was buying, right after the recession, all that. I'm like, well, I could also tell myself, well, I wish I would have bought a lot more. Right. I mean, you can always coulda, woulda, shoulda. Right. So, but I really just think, educate yourself, get around, lots of good people. go to, events, and that's why I'm going to your Denver event. There's lots of good folks there.
Oh yeah. Fantastic networking.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I would just really get started and take action is really the biggest thing. You can sit here and read all the books and listen to all the podcasts you want. And at the end of the day, you'll have a lot of knowledge, but it's not going to mean a whole lot if you don't go do something.
You got to do something. And, at my events, I spend quite a bit of time on that topic right there, the psychology of actually taking action, pushing through fear. God forbid you're comfortable, getting past comfort to build that life you want, and the tools to do that, and really working on your limiting belief systems that many people have, and there's a reason belief systems, the acronym is BS, because most of them are, right. Like fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making money even, there's all these silly subconscious fears that hold people back. And so we spend time on that at my events. It's drinking through a fire hose. Trust me, you'll get what you need on the multifamily side. But yeah, there's still some tickets left to that. If you're interested, it's rodindenver.com. Would love to see you guys there. And it's going to be a massive event too. It's going to be a kick in the butt, my largest yet. So let me ask you this. What do you think is the best advice you've ever received as it relates to this business, Dustin?
Oh gosh.
And maybe the worst advice as well, if that's an easier one for you.
There's, actually there's been a few deals that we were looking at, and this was, many years ago, that, I had a few people tell me, hey, we're at the top of the market. And this was in 2014, 15. Hey, right. We're at the top of the market. Oh my gosh, you're paying $40 a door for this deal, so, but we did the market comps, and this deal was under market, and we were conservative, on our rent bumps and all that, and we're selling, that deal.
And you'd kill for $40 a door right now.
Oh yeah, I buy any and all of it.
You give away your firstborn for $40 a door today.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And we are definitely going to have a correction of some sort. That's the way real estate works. But, there are deals out there. I mean, we went through 8 months personally where we just weren't finding anything we like. Now we've got pushing 1,000 doors that we're raising money for, and they're all screaming deals. So, they're out there, but you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find them. Okay. And so, let me just see if I've got. Do you have a favorite quote that motivates you? Anything that you think about, maybe hanging on your wall, or a favorite quote that has helped propel you in this career of yours? Again,
I've kind of been talking about that power of proximity, but it's that Jim Rohn quote, and I always kind of mess it up. But you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I love that, and I've heard that, all over different podcasts and things like that. And I'm a big, love Jim Rome, and I'm going to Tony Robbins' event in Dallas. I'm super excited.
Oh, are you really? Oh, is that the first one?
First one, yeah.
Oh,
so
I'm super excited. Oh man, you are going to love it. Now, Jim Rohn was Tony's mentor. I mean, that's how Tony got going, was working for Jim Rohn, filling Jim Rohn's events. You're going to love it, my friend. I mean, awesome. You're going to see why I follow Tony. I've followed Tony around for the last 20 years. I went to a Tony event 3 months ago that I could teach. I've been to it so many times. I've been to it 14, 15 times. Wow. It's called Date with Destiny, and I could do a damn good job of teaching it. But I'm always working on me, and I tell my coaching students, progress equals happiness. So I'm always trying to progress, just like you are as well. I mean, look at you, continually learning and growing and progressing, because, that's what keeps you happy. If you're listening and you get to your 20,000 a month goal in income, or 30 or 50 or whatever it is, don't think that that's going to equate to happiness if you stop. You have to keep going, and you may not like hearing that, but you don't have to obviously go at the same balls to the wall speed, but progress is what equates to happiness. You're going to love Tony, man. I mean, it's like just a real treat for you. I'm jealous that it's your first one. I've been to that event you're going to in Dallas more than once, actually. Because
okay, awesome. I'm super
actually
excited.
In Dallas. I've been to it all over the world, but in Dallas.
Okay.
Well. So listen, my friend, you've added a tremendous amount of value, and I really appreciate you being on the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Denver. And just glad that we popped into each other's lives, because I really have enjoyed getting to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. And I really, enjoyed getting to know you and having dinner with you in Houston. A lot of fun. So
yeah, thanks, buddy. All right. Well, be well. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
You bet.
Hey, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you listen to podcasts, join me on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to those podcasts. Just search for Lifetime Cash Flow through Real Estate Investing.
Any investment opportunities mentioned on this podcast are limited to accredited investors. Any investments will only be made with proper disclosure and subscription documentation and subject to all applicable laws.